everyone, Emily Jackson here from Great Family Adventure, and today we're going camping. One of the most important things to think about when you go camping, for me, is the comfort of sleep. So Nick and I, we do not like to sacrifice a good night's sleep when we go camping. Now, sometimes it can be more challenging, but with gear these days, you can find fantastic equipment that's gonna allow you to have a wonderful night's sleep. The two products today that I'm gonna be comparing going camping is actually two double setups. So for Nick and I, we really appreciate having the double person setup when we go camping instead of individual bags. Not to mention, I find the double setup a lot more fun when you have your kids climbing in, cuddling with you, and so forth. So for us as a family, we try really hard to have two individual sleeping bags for the kids and then a double setup for Nick and I. The two brands that I'm going to be comparing today are Zenbivy and Big Agnes. Let's start with the mattress. So there's two different mattresses I'm going to talk about today. The first one is from Big Agnes, and it's their Rapid SL. So this thing right here, it's a lot more compact than the one I'm going to be comparing it to, which is the Zenbivy double mattress. And look at the size of this thing. If you're looking for something that's going to be a little more compact, I recommend going with the Big Agnes style. The reason being, it's really small and you can really fit it into your backpack or kayak, depending on what type of camping adventure you're going on. So for us as a family, depending on what we're using to get to the campsite, will kind of help us determine what camp type setup that we're going to use, if that makes sense. So if we're using our car to get to the campsite, there's an opportunity for me to take this along. Whereas if I'm hiking to my campsite or kayaking to it or canoeing, I'm going to go with something a little smaller. Let's get this thing set up. This is the double inflation from Zenbivy. So I really love this mattress. It is very comfortable. It actually has foam on the inside. It feels much more like a traditional mattress versus your standard camp mattress. I find this one to be one of the most comfortable ones on the market, but at the same time, with that, you have the size. So the comfort is there, but it does come with a bigger package. There we go. Getting it out. Voila. This is their Flex 3D mattress. It's a 50 by 77, so it is not little. This is a big air mattress. Now, even with this just rolled out like this, not even blown up, it's got a solid amount of foam in it. So this thing is already quite comfortable. But what you can do is you go back in here and you actually blow it up. And so once I start blowing it up, it doesn't actually require too much blowing up because when you open the valve, actually a lot of air goes into it itself. So let's go ahead. I want to be able to keep talking to you guys about the equipment, so I'm not going to go ahead and blow them all up right now. But a couple things to know is that this one is initially pretty self-inflating. It has a valve where you can open up that allows air into it to put space between the foam. So without really having to blow up at all, this already has some good solid foundation to it. So I highly recommend this to anyone looking for a good double mattress. Now let's talk through the actual setup. So both Zenbivy and Big Agnes have their individual setups for double style sleeping. This one, the base is the mattress, the Flex 3D, but it has much more to it. So let's check it out. So this is the Zenbivy double quilt. The double quilt is 25 degree and it is just a quilt. It's not a full sleeping bag, but what they've done is they made a setup where they have an actual sheet. So to add even more comfort to your mattress, you can take this thing right here. This is their Luxe sheet, and I absolutely love this because it really does make the mattress that much more comfortable, and they have a really good setup for keeping it attached. So once your air mattress is inflated, you would go ahead. It's like a fitted sheet for camping. So now I took my Flex 3D mattress and I added their Luxe fitted sheet over top. So the nice part about the fitted sheet is it has a spot to actually cover up your pillows, or if you need your head tucked in because it's a little cooler, it does have that capability. So unlike it just being a fitted sheet on the bottom, it actually has your little head cocoon section. And now we're gonna get into the Zenbivy double quilt. So this double quilt is 25 degrees. It's a good temperature. All right, so the next step is looking for these little toggles. So they actually have this little toggle set up so that way you can feel like you're inside a sleeping bag even though it's just a quilt. So these little toggles actually attach to the Luxe quilt over here, and it allows me to have the sleeping bag stay up. So you know when you're fighting over a blanket with your partner, well, that's not gonna happen because these little toggles are gonna keep it on the right side. And the nice part about it is they're not on the edge, you're actually slightly on the inside, so there's overlap. So I really like how they thought about some of the things that are challenging with the double setup with the Zenbivy brand, and they really accommodated to it. So for me, the cover up by the head is really important because I like when we're camping and you can tuck your head in, or if it's really cold, it's nice to have that protection. The other nice part is I put my pillows up in there and they stay a little cleaner when the kids are running around in the tent. So here we've got those little toggles. These things are awesome because what I'm gonna actually do here is I'm gonna attach it to my Luxe sheet. So check this out. Another thing that's really nice is they've made it so the bottom of the quilt actually tucks around the mattress. That way it can't pull up over your feet. So you'll notice here that it's a little bit like the bottom of a fitted sheet. There's two corners to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up my mattress with my quilt actually wrapped around. I have fully set up my Zenbivy double setup, which means I've got my deluxe quilt, and that means I have the awesome Flex 3D mattress. So they are a little bit bigger in size. They don't pack down as small, but the setup is very warm, and they really have thought about a little key characteristics when it comes to setting up a double sleeping camping experience that are gonna make you much more comfortable. So the little toggles, huge win. The fact that the quilt itself has a fitted end to it so you can wrap it around the mattress so you're not pulling it over your feet. They also make these adorable little camp pillows. They pack down really small. And the reason that I love them is because if you look at them, they're the same color as everything else. It basically has an air bladder on the inside that you blow up right here. And then you just slide it underneath. Look at that. Camping experience complete. Thanks, Zenbivy. All right, now we're moving over to our setup from Big Agnes. Like I said, the biggest differentiator is size. So both of these are a lot smaller than what we had with Zenbivy. So let's go ahead and get this thing out. You'll notice a lot of camp mattresses these days come with these fancy little bags. Now you're probably wondering, what are these little bags? And what they are is a different way for blowing it up. So you actually fill this bag with air and compress it into the mattress. So that way you're not sitting there trying to blow it up the whole time. I really appreciate it. I know Nick certainly does too, because he gets dizzy if he spends too long blowing up these mattresses. You need to put it into the intake valve, get it in all the way. And then what you do, there's two little handles here, and you fill it up, and then check out all that air. That's a lot bigger than one breath. And you simply squeeze it in. One thing I highly recommend is always doing your mattress before dinner. So often people don't set up their beds until just before bed, and that can be exhausting, especially when you're trying to get kids to sleep. I highly recommend getting your bed set up before you get to the campfire dinner scenario, because it's much easier to just be able to enjoy dinner and not think about all the things you have to do once you get back into your tent. All right, so we are looking at the Big Agnes Rapid double mattress here. Like I said, this is their 40 by 72, I believe, and it's a little bit smaller than the one we just reviewed, the Zenbivy. So for Nick and I, when we're camping with the bigger mattress, it might make it harder to navigate both of our kids' mattresses in the tent as well. So this one is a little more compact, but a little more realistic for more of our camping experiences. Now we're gonna go ahead and check out the King Solomon from Big Agnes. This is their double person sleeping bag. This is a 35 degree, so this is a little different, and they too thought about the whole slip and slide off the mattress scenario, and they have their own techniques for keeping the mattress and the sleeping bag secure together. So what they've done is they gave us a much more traditional looking sleeping bag. This is a one-parter versus the Zenbivy two-part, which had the Luxe sheet and the double quilt. This is all in one piece. So the way that Big Agnes has set up their double is that the very bottom of the sleeping bag already has the Lux sheet integrated into the bag itself, so it actually can slide in. So you'll notice there's toggles and there's a bit of a tightening string here, and the reason they did that is to allow you to tighten it around the base. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay this thing out. Now, there's a couple other things to point out on this one. Versus it being a quilt on the top, it's your traditional style sleeping bag with a full zipper. Zippers are actually on both sides, and it will allow you guys to zip in and out a little easier, giving you that full closure. They also have the same head covering that Zenbivy does in their setup, which I appreciate. I'm not a big fan of sleeping bags that don't, because it gets cold and you end up wanting that. Now, I appreciate the snaps at the top because my kids will often go ahead and climb into the sleeping bag in and out, or it just gets a little chaotic. So I like to snap it shut in hopes that they're gonna keep their sandy feet out of my bed. I would certainly use this way more when we're having to trek or get to our camp location, because the sizing is much more efficient. It's much more carryable, loadable, whatever you need to do. It's lighter. As far as experience goes, I have more experience with Big Agnes personally. I've used their gear for several years now, and they have a really great warranty program, but at the same time, I haven't had to use it because I have noticed that their equipment is very durable. It's made in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, where they have most of their offices there, and they really take quality very seriously. So it's something I really appreciate, because for me, once I buy my camp equipment, I use it for many years to come. I wanna make a good investment that's gonna allow me to camp for years and years and years. All right, I just got this set up from Big Agnes, all put together. Now, this one is a lot smaller, a lot easier, a lot more manageable if you're either canoeing or kayaking or hiking to your camp spot. So big thank you to Big Agnes for their King Solomon setup with their Rapid Double mattress. The next part I'm gonna review is the price points. So they're actually pretty even as far as the sleeping bags go. So the Zenbivy is a two-parter, so it comes with the Lux sheet and then the double quilt on top. Now, those come as a package for about $520, which is very good when you're starting to think about it. It's two people's sleeping bag, not one. The Big Agnes price point is a little bit cheaper. It's closer to the $399 range. Both of them are in a reasonable range and made with high quality materials, so you know that the price point is reflected in that, and it's a good investment for years to come. The next part we'll review is comfort. I found both of them equally comfortable, but for different reasons. So the Zenbivy materials that they use, they feel very light. They try really hard to make sure that the camping sleep experience is much more, they call it natural, but more like at home. So it has more of a blanket feel to it, and the two-part system makes you feel a little bit more like you're at home versus one overall bag. I would say that the material definitely does have that light feel to it, and Nick and I appreciated the extra size of the mattress, the 50 by 77. It's really nice, especially if you have a little that's gonna climb into the sleeping bag with you. The sizing and the comfort of the Big Agnes King Solomon setup was also fantastic. I would have to say that for how small it packs down, it actually has a lot of space. And for Nick and I, that's more than enough. Now at the same time, we're like, he's 5'6", I'm 5'3", we are not big people, but it's a camping experience. And you know, when you're close together, it's another opportunity to stay warm. So I think the smaller size mattress is more than big enough for the two of us. We've used it multiple times and never had any complaints. The last thing is, as a company, they both have amazing missions. One of them really is to focus on ensuring we get the very best sleep. The other one, at the same time, comfort first, but also durability, long-term economic impact. So thank you to Big Agnes for leading the charge on that. They've actually won awards from Outside Magazine on just reducing water use and so forth when it comes to developing their products. So way to go, Big Agnes, we appreciate it. Well, I hope you learned something with this review, the two different double setups from our friends at Zenbivy and Big Agnes. Definitely be sure to check out more information on these setups and these companies in the links below the video. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, share, follow, so that way we know what you're looking for, and just give us some support so that way we can continue to make more of these.